Alright, should be recording. As it says, gonna be doing The Phantom of the Opera from 1925, and there's a link so you can find it there. It's public domain, and there actually was a little bit more information here. This is the restored 1929 version of the film, apparently, but there's also a 25 version. It sounds like they did some editing to it when they made the 29 version, and also somewhere in it, in the reviews for it, somebody talks about how their grandfather actually saw it when he was 11 years old, and it's worth noting that it's like the whole reveal of the Phantom's face at that time really did scare people. You don't really see that nowadays. We're kind of used to jump scares of various kinds. So yeah, but anyway, let's get into it. By the way, when I downloaded the OGG version, had some issues, so I had to re-encode it. It's better than trying to download the full 1 point something gig file. The OGG was much smaller. Just realized I have a window open well, not a window open, but a shade open, so hopefully glare won't be a problem for me. But yeah, so Great Lon Chaney, Man of a Thousand Faces. It's funny, I know the Phantom of the Opera story, and I've seen parts of various Phantom films, including parts of this one. I've never actually seen any of them. I can turn this audio up. This is a silent, in that, I mean, obviously, yes, there is music being played, but, there won't be any voice work. But yeah, that is... Technically, there's never been a silent film, because they would always accompany it with music like this. It just might be, it's being played live. Or it's just being run on a record as well, but it may not be synced up, so you couldn't necessarily do the voice, or you couldn't have recorded the voice live at the time. The neat thing, Frankenstein, the Boris Karloff Frankenstein, was actually an early enough film in the synchronized audio so you could have the voice work. It was so early, there's no background music, because they weren't sure if they could do that correctly. In The Bride of Frankenstein, though, you do have background music, so they had figured out how to manage it all. So it looks like we're in a sewer or a catacomb type thing underneath. Somebody going around with a lamp. So, Phantom of the Opera is originally a play, and something interesting about, at least I'm pretty sure it was originally a play. I could be wrong on that, I guess. But, when it would go to a theater, they would actually, because you would have to, like, do insurance stuff anyway, but they would also have a waiver to do $10,000 worth of damage to it because of some of the special effects and stuff. Like, I don't know if it'll be... There's Opera House rising nobly over medieval torture chambers, hidden dungeons long forgotten. So that's where the Phantom resides. That's where that guy was also in, looking around. But it's like in the play, it actually starts with a broken chandelier rising up from the stage and going up above the audience. You know, like, because it's you're being taken to the past. I've never seen the play, but I do know a little bit about it, mainly just that opening. Because I once took a drama class in high school, so you would have, like, you know, the broken there it is on the stage, and it would just be suddenly illuminated and lifted up and carried over the audience and up to the ceiling and stuff like that. Yeah, you're gonna end up damaging the theater potentially. Hence them needing the waiver. But it was the whole, you're going back in time to when it fell, to to what happened, that this is a story of the past. How hard it would be for that conductor, because you would think that the conductor would need to use larger movements, since he's not just conducting the orchestra that's behind him, which is not what you normally see in just, orchestral suite kind of thing. To the executive offices where strange deals being closed. But he's also conducting those on the stage. So I wonder if you would have to move more to make sure that he is seen behind the orchestra sees. But it does make sense to monitor to focus on the stage, because they may have a harder time adjusting their timing than the orchestra does, because of the added physicality. So the theater is being sold. It seems like people selling it or hiding something. That's what. Yeah. And they want to just laugh it off. Who believes in ghosts? Well, maybe you shouldn't laugh at this one. Alfred Hitchcock, there we go. I don't know why, I just could not think of his name. He actually started making cards like this. What are they actually referred to as? The names of those cards. That's how he broke into the movie business, was making those. At least I'm pretty sure that's a story for him. It's one of those great directors. I was like, I think it was him. No, of course not. Why would you ask such a stupid question? Oh no, please don't bother him? Please don't? It's like, no, surely not. He just... There's no such thing as ghosts. Is he gone? Yep. It is definitely a lost art, and I'm not saying I'm good at it, but because, there's a lot of dialogue that you're not it doesn't get the cards telling you what they're saying. You just need to interpret it yourself from what their actions are. And that interpretation is a lost art, I would say, today. As would almost certainly be the actual acting to provide that information. I suspect an accident is going to be coming. Oh no, it's just a black cat. That's always a good sign, right? Are white cats good signs? I mean, if black cats are signs of bad luck, is a white cat a sign of good luck? And there go the dancers. Looks like they're just like going to part of the set. Or backstage. Oh, it must be backstage, because that guy wouldn't be on the set, you'd think. Well, on the stage, I mean. So they're pestering him about something. Of course, they're gonna disagree. Now, the funny thing to think about is knowing that this stuff was happening, and you see this in Singing in the Rain. There we go. It took me so, because I'd like had the name of it and then I lost the name of it and then came back. Because it starts off well. It you know talks and it deals in part with silent film and silent film stars that they're just talking to each other. You don't, because they're not being recorded. It doesn't matter what they're saying to each other as long as they have the mouth movement. It would be interesting, what is actually being said. Now, I would say this is potentially not that great a transfer from the film, but I could believe the expectation was also that there wouldn't be enough clarity around the mouth to be able to lip read them. Looks like he's working on a mask or something. Describing the Phantom. Lapras parchment, skin strung tight over retreating bone. And there is no nose, so that one girl was wrong. I mean, I guess if you're gonna carry a head, that does make some sense, but it's still a bit extreme. I'm just holding it by the hair. Something scared them. Here come the others. Like so many ghost stories, just the telling of it can scare people. Depending on where they were, he just came up through a trapdoor onto the stage. Oh. Where does that go? Oh, he's back now. How has she been insulted? Oh, we are not reading that. Signed the Phantom, though. Ah. Performance. Well, disastrous to you. Okay. I could read something. I could not read. Sometimes both is so grainy, and cursive can make it a little harder when it's read. Now the question is it like a metal rod or anything in that fan, so she could actually beat people with it? I can believe some women back then would have had something hidden in there. She was strangely ill, so somebody else had to say. That conductor has an amazing beat. Okay, and somebody's rising up. And that's right, because it is, the Phantom loves apparently Christine. So there is that competition between the two men. Lifted up to heaven. I kind of wonder, is there anything akin to a understudy in film today? And there are stunt doubles, but that's you don't ask them to actually be able to perform the movie. Because like that's what the setup is. It's like the main star, actor, actress, whichever, doesn't matter, would have somebody else that would also learn all the part and would assist them, so that way if they were sick or just something came up, this other person could step in. Because so many live performances that can happen. You need a replacement for a day. But you would also see that the understudy could actually be an actress in a different role in it as well, was actually learning 2 parts, potentially. Depends on how many people you would have. So you'd see the whole cast shift, but you would do stuff like that if need be. Oh, that's just me. I was like, you must just forget it. It's like, I mean, come on. You could be a little nicer than that. I mean, seems kind of harsh language. Like, I mean, there could be more explanation there. Come on, let's see about some negotiating. And how Raoul paused just before it cut to her and she looked over in response to this. He may have heard it as well. The Phantom. Think of other examples where similar kind of setup, where a phantom-esque character that isn't necessarily ghostly or scary, just but where he's a master of some art and tries to protect and help support a protege of theirs like this, but is ultimately unable to achieve so. Now, of course, he also does love her, and he's trying to use the art to force them to always be together. It's not just him teaching. But you do see that kind of character and character dynamic and other things as well. Edged in black, definitely a bad sign. But he's trying to sabotage Carlotta's career so that Christine can advance. Well, you to be ill, I can make out. I could not quite tell. where did this come from? Gadzooks. I cannot make how it. Fuses, you will send vows in. I do not doubt that there are better transfers of this out there. So now we'll see that the Phantom has some capabilities to exact his will, I'm guessing. I mean, Destroy wouldn't be nearly as interesting if he isn't capable of causing harm to other people, if he isn't established as a monster. They're looking around. I don't know what would have been asked, but probably something along the lines of, everything's good. Yeah, everything is good so far. With a house, for a house with a curse on it. That's not gonna be. But if that's Christine, then that may be a note to her, either from the Phantom or from Raoul. Oh no, it's okay. It's a business card. Well, calling card. You don't really see that today anymore. I mean, yes, the business cards you do, but you would also have a personal card that you could give to somebody that would have information on there like that, and it would be a way, yeah, to pass notes. Must never something to see me probably again, Christine. I don't know why I keep like starting partway through the text to try to read that, because like I'm not gonna be able to read all of it, so I'm just like starting in the middle, hoping to catch what I need to. Maybe it was like use the card and ask her why she isn't on, and something like that I could believe. Or just what are you doing, since it's... Yeah, you know, that's true. Just giving the card could also be... Excuse me. Could also be sort of a, like, asking her out to dinner or something like that. And just an implied meaning card. That's not actually supposed to be happening. Looks like she's trying to continue with the performance, which a professional would do to the best of their ability. And the chandelier. And there's the Phantom. Tampering with something. It's like a pin holding a rope. It's waiting for the right time. She's singing, bring down. She's singing to bring down the chandelier. I just couldn't quite make out what the first word was. And you can see the people in the background there. It is a large chandelier. Like one of those chandeliers that would stand as a work of art on its own. This is that person that they talked about that followed the Phantom. Oh, and now he's just standing there, separate from everyone. I don't remember his name though. Oh, police trying to get in. There's Raoul. And there's the Phantom. He's outside of Christine's room. Oh, Phantom of the Opera was originally a French novel. I figured I'd just look it up. So we'll manage to hide in. Oh, okay, so the musical play, that was in 1986, but yeah, this film was from 1925. So yeah, I definitely have things all screwing my head for timing when this stuff came out. Didn't realize it was originally a novel, but it's based on a tale that's a former ballet pupil's skeleton was used in a production. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia article. And it also notes here that it was, so the Phantom would potentially be talking to her, but has reached out to touch her like that. But initially it was actually published in newspapers, and then later as a singular novel. There's Lon Chaney with the mask, which is frightening her. He's trying to comfort her, assuage her about, you know, who he is. Yeah, a number of things though used to be published that way, that where it would be separate sections that would come out in newspapers or journals, magazines. And in some cases, you'd even see things encouraged that way. Like, I know The Lord of the Rings is actually, my devotion, which is brought to you the gift of song. The Lord of the Rings was actually, it's a single novel. It's commonly broken up into the three, the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and the Return of the King, but it actually is a single book. But what's funny is the copy I have, if you actually look, it is 6 books. It's like book 1 is the Fellowship. No. I don't remember all the titles. But it's like the first book is from the Shire up until going to Rivendell, the Council of Rivendell, Council of Elrond. Then from that until the breaking of the Fellowship, which is where you commonly see the Fellowship end, the Fellowship of the Ring end. And then, I'm trying to remember where the separation is in the 2 books. That would be the Two Towers. But it was actually broken up like that because Tolkien's publisher told him that it would probably sell better. That you'd have better luck getting this out there if you have it broken up this way. But yeah, that's the copy of the Lord of the Rings that I have has it all explained in there. It's actually fairly interesting to read through the information behind it. I think also Tolkien had an interesting style to how he would write. He would write the draft in pencil, and then he'd go through it and make edits in ink. So he would actually write over the pencil. So it's like if he liked it, he would write in ink. If he didn't like it, he would write something new on top in ink. Which makes it kind of interesting when people go through his manuscripts to like if they wanted to put out a new version and just check to see the source there, because editors would then get in there and make some changes, the publisher may make some changes, things like that, the printer as well. So going back into seeing what the original was and what he wrote, very interesting. The issue with that though is you can't always read what he wrote because you got 2 pieces of text on top of each other. But also just going back a bit to that, the magazines and such, pulp fiction. Pulp, and this wouldn't be limited just to those, but it's referring to it being a lower quality paper that was used for some of those magazines. That because there was so much wood pulp in there, but it was cheap paper, so you'd see these magazines that would include these different stories, and they would be called pulps because the lower quality, they wouldn't get into the larger newspapers or the more recognized magazines. But it was cheap, it was a way for up-and-coming writers to get something out there. Things like that. So it did serve a necessary purpose, but it was very much looked down upon. Paperbacks, too. Look into the history of that. Because when those... Publishers hated, initially, paperbacks. Because, like, it took time. It was expensive to make a hardbound book. So there was a lot of gatekeeping involved then, because you wouldn't want to produce hardcover books that wouldn't sell. You'd lose too much. Paperbacks, though, made it so much cheaper, and people were fighting against paperbacks for a long time. Well, I don't know for how long. I shouldn't say that, but well, no, it would have been for a long time, because it would have been ahead of them coming out, when they came out, and even some after they came out, that you can't do this, because you're going to pollute literature with examples of it that are so poor. But it also, you would see you'd have new people, new writers getting the work out there, but just an explosion of new thought, new creativity, new ideas in there. So it has ultimately been a good thing. But yeah, people did not people actually did fight against. I feel like it's worth pointing out, notice with the hat and how he's dressed, it does look like that one guy, but... So we are going to be left for a while thinking that maybe that is that guy that we saw that Rahul was staring down at. And she's still afraid of him. Five cellars underground? That's quite a bit away. Somewhat interesting, this. So that which is good in me, that, perhaps even a recognition on his part that he has evil in him. Or that he is typically the monster. I mean, he did just kill a bunch of people by dropping a chandelier on them. I mean, let's not forget that. I'm not sure what that is. You'd think it's a bed, but the wood goes all the way up on the side. So at first I was thinking like a pool table. I really could not recognize what it was. He's just pointing. Ah, that is where I see. So yeah, there would be some kind of bed. I'm just not used to seeing beds where... I mean, it certainly looked like it was encompassed in wood all around the mattress. But then it's also, this time period, mattresses would be different. Beds would be different. Oh, it's a coffin that he sleeps in. Got it. That would make sense. Took long enough to figure that out. Yeah, that is kind of part of the story, that he is forced out of society. He's forced to be down here, but it would also, there should be the case that he is also a kind of hateful person. So he is okay with killing people, like I just mentioned with the chandelier, so it there is reason to not ostracize people because you risk some of them, wanting to return to society and going to extreme measures to achieve that. But it would also be worth noting with that kind of thought, and I do not know if it touches on that at all in the film or in the book or anything. He is skilled. Like, he taught her to be an exceptional singer without even meeting. He knows the opera house. He knows opera. So, it's like he is somebody that would be of service, would be helpful. It's just, well, we'll see the face later, that, people are afraid of him. Oh, we are not reading that. Here we go. Another phantom tragedy, Christine disappears, following chandelier disaster. Now, I wonder at what point we may stop seeing newspapers and their headlines used in films. It's sad, but this is, I'm sure, talking about Christine. I mean, yeah, it is definitely more convenient to get news online, but at the same time, it's... Newspaper articles you used to be able to trust had a level of depth to them that, wouldn't just talk about the latest news, it would give you background on it and a lot. Like, you could trust it, but then it's also today, not only is it some people just see the stuff online, would rather just go there, but it's also, let's face it, even newspapers, they try to get clickbaity. It's not clickbait, obviously, if it's a print, but it's, they want to shock you into reading instead of laying out everything, or they'll bury certain important things. They'll bury the lead. It's like, well, no, this information should really be up at the top, but no, it's all the way at the bottom. But it is also true, you have seen newspapers be, that their respectability abused for a very long time. It used to be called yellow journalism, now it's called fake news. Same basic idea. Trying to manipulate public opinion one way or another by presenting only one side of the story, mischaracterizing information, and so on. Nope. I can see long as and the spirit of each something. And signed Eric, but. There he is at the organ. even within this music, there's seemingly coming from his heart. There is warning. There's something to be concerned. And of course, she is curious about the man. That's the reveal. Which, I mean, of course, that image has been shown so many times. It's hard to scare many people with it today, but it was a big deal back then. Didn't see something like that on film very often, or period. She is horrified, frightened, and that's, I guess, as he would be scared himself, unsure what to do. Well, yeah, now he's the laughing, he's the monster. It's like he doesn't mean her any harm, but at the same time, I'm sure the character would be very angry. Doesn't want to direct that anger at her, but would be angry because he's been exposed like that. He's been trying to hide that. Probably ashamed of it. So it's frightened. Well, now true, she may just be afraid and trying to get away from him. But he's still, willing to let her go for a bit. Then there's the monster, the jealousy as well. Yep. I didn't realize that the reveal would be that early. I mean, it makes sense because then the rest of this is him getting to be the monster part. Yeah, but will Raoul swear to it? Miss you again. Be at... Okay, at a masquerade ball tomorrow night, but not alone, San Cristobal. Ah, okay. So she must see Raoul, hopefully just to explain. Like, this could get bad. masquerade ball at the opera, of the opera. Because everybody wears masks, doesn't matter your cast. And now this is... It is also like how there's never really been film without sound, because you would have music playing like this. You've also never really had film without color, because they would do things like this. They would just tint the film. And actually, there was some... Before film really started, and I think it was in France, people experimenting with color film and actually coming up with stuff that, like this, decades before you saw Technicolor and such. And some of it, I saw this years ago from a New Scientist piece talking about it, with a person taking images of parrots. But it was talked about, like, what this one guy came up with would rival what you see today for color film. I mean, it was very, very impressively done. And very good clarity, but never caught on for various reasons. Could just be the expense of the chemistry involved, or just wasn't known about. It's like once you get a process set up with one system, you don't necessarily go to another. So that would undoubtedly be the Phantom. But to an extent, that may also explain why they're tinting it red, is to give him his color, but it's Mask of Red Death kind of thing. But also potentially his influence on the area. Because think about it, it wasn't red in, just when he appeared. It was read beforehand. That he has an impact from where he will be. And it would definitely be fitting now because of how so many people are reacting to it. I'm not sure, like, Black Plague, Black Death, pretty sure it involved, like, black, bile and such. Not sure about what the Red Death would have been. It'd also be, like, the Yellow Death, various plagues that were associated with colors. Not sure what Black Death means. Sorry, Red Death. But, it's also interesting, everybody was staying away from him when he came. And this is supposed to be, everybody's in masks. Everyone can be together, regardless of caste, but it's still, he enters and everybody moves away. So even when hidden, even when people are supposed to be all together, they still flee from him. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Wow, that is a large statue then. Nope, that's just something in the film. Oh, no, that's actually a bird flying by. So we probably won't get what he said there, just... Oh, now there's something up there. But probably him just showing that yes, no one can hear. Now she's telling him probably about the Phantom thing, about Eric. Yep. And the motion over her face, referring to the mask. Of course, there he is, listening with his own mask off, it seems. Oh, that was dangerous. Yep. Now, I wonder if some of this is also lost on me, in part because, the point made that that face isn't as scary today as it once was. I'm just like, thinking about how many horror games have I played. He's got nothing on so many characters in Outlast. And I started this channel on that. So, like, what is his name? Actually, you know what, that's kind of, in a way that is true. The big guy in Outlast, his face is actually kind of similar to that, like how the teeth are exposed. It's actually kind of similar, so it's like I'm already familiar with a lot of this stuff. The visuals, the horrifying visuals, so I don't necessarily connect with her fear of him from that. So today, it would be much harder to retell this story where you can use that fear as the connection with the audience, potentially. I mean, it also depends. I am jaded. Say, I play Outlast once. This isn't going to bother you that much. But I am not, typical audience member either, so... It's also interesting, they took away the red tint when they moved up here. And it's also not here. I see the green there, that's probably just compression artifacting, to be clear. And there's that guy who is curious, not the Phantom, but a curious character. Because he certainly seems to have some awareness of the Phantom. Is my guess. So he put the mask back on and is returning. Looks like they told him that as just a joke, hence why they were laughing, but it got him to collapse, and they were right, so, yeah. Oh, Eric. Is exiled to Devil's Island for criminal insane, escaped now at large, so that's who he is. Prefect of Police? It's interesting though, it's just our first name and it's like, oh yeah, we know who that is. He's right here in the records. Was Eric an uncommon name? That would be kind of cute. Wow, is that dark? That's Raoul getting something ready to escape with Christine. Don't worry, everything is set. The carriage is going to be there. We'll... once you are done, we will escape. We will be free of you. No need to cry. He knows our plans, everything. Yeah, he, was listening. I'm seriously, why would you discuss your plans at the opera? It's like, he's the Phantom of it, of course he's gonna hear it. Come on. I guess that was something along the lines of, it doesn't matter, we'll go through with it anyway, he'll find us something. And indeed, there he was at the carriage. I'm curious about it. I'm looking up the Red Death, see if we can figure that out. It could also just be a symbol, though. But there's a film, I think it's actually called The Red Death, where at the end you see the personification of the Red Death plague walk off on several others. You see the Yellow Death in there, Black Death, I think also blue or purple. Oh yeah, The Mask of Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. There's a lot of things that were named Red Death. the Red Death is potentially actually a reference to, used to be known as consumption, we would know it as tuberculosis, which does involve coughing up blood. Hence why it would be called Red Death, because you can eventually die, but it's the coughing up blood. And then apparently some extreme cases bleed massively. And Edgar Allan Poe would have been exposed to it. His wife had it. He also lost his mother, foster mother, and brother to it, so... it would make sense that he would use it to inform. Well, I need to check, when did The Mask of Red Death get published? Like, would that have been before, or is it just... is it just shared symbol? First published in 1842. I think that would predate the Phantom of the Opera. Yep, it was the serialization, so the newspaper version was in 1909, so it is very possible that over 60 years old by that time, that the author, Gaston Leroux, that he would have known it, so that maybe, and also that would make the costume fitting well. People would know the Red Death from Edgar Allan Poe's work. Bowles' brother. I've read Faust, it's been a while. I don't remember this part at the spinning wheel like that. But that end that we saw earlier, where she was being lifted up to heaven, that is how Faust actually ends for the girl. She is saved, but Faust is, well, condemned to hell for all that he did. So if I can actually no, that's not the conductor. What would that be? It's the guy who would help with the lines. I just don't remember what the actual name of that role is. And that role had more than just like, oh, the prompter. Yes, the prompter and prompter's box. Potentially do more than just help with if somebody forgot their lines, prompting them, whatever. I'm guessing it's some kind of police inspector. Yep. Ledoux? Ledoux? I feel more like it would be Ledoux, but I do not know. And it would make sense, because the Phantom is an escaped convict. So it makes sense that there would be somebody chasing after him. Why would you close that behind you? Oh. Alright. That does explain some things about the Phantom. That he was tortured here. I feel like this is something that I've always wondered why you don't see that in things. In movies and television shows, like keeping a hand up like that so that if somebody does try to throw a noose or something around you like that, you have your hand there to protect yourself, to try to push against it instead of trying to pull at it when it's already at your neck. It's like, thank you, there's intelligence here. This is amazing! I mean, true, if you'd want it near, but it still is the whole, you'd think that there would be ways of protecting your neck like this if you suspect somebody's going to strangle you. Ah, so that's why he was... I feel like the inspectors... Actually, now I don't remember. Did he say it was an inspector? But I do wonder if Ledoux is gonna die. I kind of feel like he is. So he shuddered to the light. Wouldn't be seen because there's something coming. Which might just be that other guy that we've been seeing, not the Phantom, but they don't necessarily know that. But it does make sense that there would be a shutter of some kind on a lamp like that, so that you could darken it without actually putting out the flame. Oh, maybe there's a Phantom. It's hard to tell. That might be the mask on there. Not, I don't know. But it's still a word of warning. Boy, I really do want to see if there's a better restored version of this out there to watch. Yeah, so there's definitely a duality to his personality. You know, it is also possible, because I don't know the story that well, this guy isn't actually with the secret police. Because think about it, the Phantom wants to kill Raoul as well. Wouldn't it help if you had a helper that could bring him to you? There are mirrors. I can see enough reflection. Called it. I mean, true, it helps being able to spot a mirror in the background. But they can hear him, apparently. Yep. An alarm, I'm guessing? Oh, yeah, because... Oh, that's who that has been. It's been his brother looking for him. Gonna tip off the Phantom that Raoul is there. You stay there, I'm guessing? Yes, I'll stay here. Are they gonna... Raoul and such gonna appear in the back? I'm not sure what that is. I think it's just a cane, but it would suffice for beating somebody. But he's walking into the water. Oh! That's where... Okay. It's a breathing tube. Because while there are steps going down, it still is deep enough that you need that to be able to get around underwater. I also kind of feel like pointing out just how terrifying it is, because the human body would normally want to float. You know, it would take a lot of muscle mass to be dense enough to sink, unless you are, somehow weighting yourself down. Which he may have been. Lon Chaney, or by some other means, held underwater. Now this definitely would be a terrifying thing. Because it is dark, the water is black, and then suddenly a hand just reaches up from it to grab the side of the boat. Okay, so she screamed, and now they're calling out to her so that they can find her. There's a similarity, by the way, to the story of Faust here, in that Faust also loved a girl who ultimately does try to escape them, to a degree. It's been a while since I read it. But his ego and evil, she did try to escape that in Faust, like we see here. Is it just me, or is there also something kind of intimidating about that? That he, in the full tuxedo, he went into the water, now he's come out, and he's just put the cape back on, put the hat back on, and is still just going to be dripping wet. Completely drenched. See, that's not comfortable. To be wearing such wet clothing. Back to the oar. This audio garble. That's compression artifact. It didn't have enough data to cover the those low frequencies. So it was the compression that was introducing noise because of the inaccuracy at that frequency. Audio compression is an interesting thing to learn about. Come and move. On the bright side, at least there would be plenty of layers with that suit that could be taken off. Does seem like something was cut here. My guess is something along the lines of she agreeing. Yeah, basically this. Interesting, something's falling apart. There's a hole, like a seam, a crack for a door. Rats, foiled again. Lovely! This'll be fun. Maybe keep that lamp away from it. It's interesting he would have the organ hooked up to control a gate. By the way, one thing I feel like pointing out is notice how he's dressed in black, she's dressed in white, or at least much lighter colors. But also earlier when we first met Raoul, I want to say what he was wearing was also white. Just that juxtaposition of white and black, light and darkness. Good and evil. I don't know about scary, but definitely creepy. Oh, got it. You'd think that many people, they would hear the footsteps. Like there would be a rumbling coming. But it's hard to tell just how far away they are. Dousing the gunpowder's not a bad idea in a way, but how did they escape now? but also by having drained that water, the mob he was going to have an easier time getting to him. You see, they can just go through the water. It's not deep enough that they would drown them, and they don't need the boat. That was a laugh. Time to go. Knows the flapping curtain. Good thing they weren't so much a mob that they wouldn't believe him and not follow. Because you would kind of think that some of them would be, like, you know, the first person we find is who you kill, isn't it? That must have been an interesting stunt to try to prepare for. Not sure what that would be. trick. Like if he was threatening there was like nitroglycerin or something, And in the end, he does die. Wow, is it hard to read this? Alright, and that finishes it. So back to that. I'm just, because I still have the that link right there, the Internet Archive. Why did I say arcade? Page up. I'm just looking at some of the reviews here. A lot of them are from quite some years ago. Alright. Just one of the things somebody had asked the question, how is this in public domain? Because Universal Studios didn't renew it didn't renew the copyright in 53. Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. The original 1925 version did not have, it was just grayscale. It was in the 29 re-release, which is what this is, that they added the color tinting. Is that also up here? Somebody just states in there what the actual music is. I scrolled back up here. One reviewer says, for anyone who may be curious, the music with this film is Schubert's Symphony No. 8 and Piano Trio in, pretty sure that would be E minor. It says EB, but it would make sense to me that the B would be used in place of the minor character. Opus 100. So, yeah, for anyone curious, hopefully that information is correct. But yeah, so I shall stop now, and that way I can get this processing and up. Goodbye, see you next time.